Florida Senator and Senate Homeland Security Committee member Ashley Moody. Senator, great to see you. We heard Grady Trimble mention that TSA pre-check had been paused and then reinstated, but if you don't let that operate, it certainly sends a message to every flyer of what the Democrats are up to.
Well, you know, it's hard to disguise the fact that the Democrats are playing games. They are, this is a partial government shutdown of DHS, in their words, because they are trying to reform ICE. But in fact, most of that is funded. We did that last summer. The majority of the funding that they're refusing to move forward on is affecting TSA in the middle of a historic storm, is affecting FEMA when in the middle of trying to respond to a natural disaster. It's affecting the Coast Guard. It's affecting the Secret Service. I mean, all of these people, especially if they're essential workers, are going to be required to come to work without pay.
Right.
And so their real agenda is they want the United States government, Donald Trump, President Trump and his administration, to stop enforcing immigration laws. They want to stand in the way of them deporting criminals that are here illegally. They want to make it more dangerous for these law enforcement officers to go in and do their jobs, when in fact, all they're doing is shutting off funding for these really essential services. Look, I'm a brand new senator. I continue to be amazed at the games these people play with the lives of Americans and the safety of our law enforcement officers.
So, I mean, you know, sometimes you assess these situations and you have to concede, well, maybe my opponents have some leverage here, okay? Like they've got one on us and this is going to be tough. I'm looking at this, Senator. I do not understand what leverage Democrats think they have in this partial shutdown. I do not understand how they think the American people are going to sympathize with them on this. Do you think President Trump does something at the State of the Union to just kind of help them see, look, you got to cut a deal because you're being idiots right now?
Well, and I commend you for talking about this, right? I think what we have to do, both those of you in the media that are communicating on what's going on, we need to put on full display the gamesmanship, the political narratives they're trying to drive that really are undermining the stability and success of this country. One of the things that has become abundantly clear to me as the newest U.S. Senator is the Democrats are agents of chaos. That seems to be their goal. We're in our third shutdown in this funding year. I mean, I just got here, I've been here a year. There's already been 3 shutdowns. And the biggest theme of that is they're shutting down the government over something that has nothing to do with the actual funding, right? I mean, we could sit here and talk all day about we need to really, really think about the strategy of this country and how we're funding things and things that we shouldn't be funding to ensure our fiscal health moving forward. But that's not what they're talking about in these funding bills. They're just trying to play games, trying to create narratives, and all the while, they're weakening our country. They're being subversive. And I think the more that we can talk about that, those of us that people trust in these roles, and put that on display, I'm hoping even the Democrats out there start calling those, their representatives, their senators, and saying, get with the program, do your jobs, let's get this country moving forward.
The voter ID bill passed the House of Representatives, the SAVE Act. Like you have to prove you are who you say you are with an ID in order to vote in this country. The pressure is mounting on the Republicans in the Senate to move forward with this. Does it progress? And is a talking filibuster really the answer here? Because that could end up blowing up in the face of Republicans.
Yeah, so look, I think, you know, more than any other time in this country's history, we now have blue states out there basically saying, we are going to ignore the laws of this nation. We're going to be sanctuary states. Not only that, we're going to push back on anything and everything the federal government ensures that we're enforcing laws. If there's ever a time to say, okay, we've got to do something now, especially as it comes to our election, because there is no doubt there are states out there that are going to be working against the law. as they've shown repeatedly. So we've got to move this forward. There is momentum. You see Thune came on board, Collins came on board. There's momentum there. Now we just have to have a caucus discussion on how we make this a reality and push it forward. And I am very hopeful as one of the original co-sponsors that we're going to get that done.
All right, Senator Ashley Moody, nice to see you.